Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, must draft wide receivers. 4 players for you guys today. This is the last chance to give a stamp of approval on some guys. So you may have heard us talk about them before. You may have not. But if you guys are new, subscribe to the channel. Send us a DM on Twitter or message me in our Discord channel, and you'll be entered to win $100 of site credit on OwnersBox and a jersey of your choice. I have not seen enough people in the comments talking about our new fantasy game, Lightning Lineups, so let's roll the tape. The most electric way to play fantasy sports this season. Lightning Lineups presents you with 3 teams of 3 players. Find the trio you think will score the most fantasy points, or spin the wheel to generate a new matchup. Love your lineup? Add more opponents to increase your payout. Submit your entry for free and make your way to the pay zone. Again, $100 of site credit we're giving you. You can use it for Lightning Lineups, but we're also giving you a $10 free entry for Lightning Lineups once you sign up. The link to sign up for OwnersBox is down below in the description. Get it done. Sign up.
Today. I mean, you need to. We got to get in your Lightning lineups for week 1 already.
Yes.
I mean, Thursday night lineups. You got to get the Rams and the Bills. Got to get those 2-player lineups locked in, and then, I mean, the world's your oyster after that at this point.
Yes, and DFS contest too. We give you a free entry for the DFS contest as well. $100K prize pool. All right, Ryan, first player.
First player off the board here for me, must draft wide receiver. It's got to be Brandon Cooks. At his ADP right now, he's going at the beginning of the 6th round. He's the wide receiver 26. The craziest thing is, no one's realizing how consistent this guy has been in fantasy throughout the course of his career. He's finished worse than the wide receiver 20 once since 2015, exceeding 1,000 receiving yards in 6 seasons with 4 different teams. Every year other than 2019, he's actually averaged between 13.7 fantasy points and 16.2 fantasy points per game, finishing as the wide receiver 2 6 times and wide receiver 1 time when he was with the Patriots. And even last year on this Texans team, he had a great year. He finished 4th in air yard share at 36% and 9th in target share at 24% in terms of out of all players. He has the same kind of, other than John Mechie getting drafted this year, kind of the same wide receiver room that you're looking at. Guys that are really threatening right now would be Nico Collins and Chris Connolly, really not on the same skill level as Brandon Cooks. And if you look at the end of his season last year, in his final 4 games with Davis Mills at quarterback, he was a top 10 in fantasy points per game. And he can be moved all over the field. We've seen it throughout the course of his career, and he's been successful in all these different spots. Like when he was with New England, he lined up out wide 82% of the time and had a great season with them. And then the Texans last year, he actually spent 34% of the time in the slot. So just goes to show how he can move all over the field and really be just as productive as kind of in any position. So that's obviously just mismatch hell for any defense, which really makes me think that there's no way, or maybe not really a chance, that he's going to finish outside wide receiver 20 at this point.
Yeah, I think that obviously everything kind of gets better. Like the team, he has another offseason under his belt with Davis Mills, who's asserted as the starter. He's a guy that continues to, when he's on the field, command targets, command opportunity, and like you said, versatile player. So I got nothing. You can't say anything bad about Brandon Cooks. He just kind of shows up and gets it done. Nothing flashy. I don't know if he can win you your league, but I think you'll be very happy drafting him.
Agreed. He showed with every single different team, and it's almost, we've seen him play on so many different caliber of teams, like with the Patriots when they were really good, with the Rams when they were great, and now even with the Texans last year when they were bottom 3 team in the league. So I love Brandon Cooks this year, especially in his current ADP right now.
100%. I got Cadarius Toney. This is my last chance to pound the table that you should be drafting Cadarius Toney. Now, he's not doing a good job on the actual football field of making me feel good about it because he's dealing with a knee injury and he hasn't been practicing much. But here's the deal. The guy's going in the 10th round right now. And to me, in the later rounds of my draft, I have to be willing to take risk and take a chance on a player. And for him, the concern is injury and re-injury. But when the guy is on the field, he demands targets and demands opportunity. A 28.9% target rate last season, ranked 7th in the NFL. His targets per route run was better than Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Deontay Johnson. Those are all guys that commanded plenty of targets. I'm pretty sure those guys were all top 5 maybe in targets last season. I could be wrong. Also led the NFL at the wide receiver position in missed tackles forced per reception. That was a stat that was led in terms of missed tackles forced in total by Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel. Guys are premier players at doing that. Last thing, ranked 12th in target separation versus man coverage. If we're talking about ticking off boxes, this guy forces missed tackles when the ball's in his hands. So that means he can break big plays. Running routes, he creates significant separation. And when he's on the field, his quarterback is looking his way and throwing his way extremely often. That basically covers everything you could possibly want. And then we get this discount in the 10th round. I'm smashing the draft button every single damn time I have Cadarius Toney available to me in rounds 9 through 10. I love Cadarius Toney. This is a player to me that is at a really good discount. He's my wide receiver 30, but he's being drafted as like a wide receiver 45. So I'm pumped about Toney and his value this year.
Yeah, I have him as my wide receiver 40 right now. I'm not as high as him on T-Mac just because there's a little bit of unknown, obviously, with him. His injuries have been pretty much nagging since he entered into the league. 100%. So hopefully he can have a full or somewhat of a full season this year and kind of show what kind of production he can do on the fantasy side. I'm really excited to see kind of what Dable does with him in this offense.
100%. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, it's obviously a new head coach, but still Daniel Jones. So I think he makes plays. He gets open. So
yeah. Okay, my second guy, and to be honest, I'm starting to think that this guy is actually could be a league winner for your fantasy teams where he's getting drafted right now, and that's Allen Lazard. I can't believe there's not more people talking about this guy right now. I think the main reason why he hasn't played a single preseason snap, but I think that just talks about the fact that Aaron Rodgers obviously has a lot of trust in him, along with some of the other guys that are a little bit older, Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb. I think the preseason show was mainly to gauge who's going to be fighting for that wide receiver 2 spot with either Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and maybe some of the other guys that they have. But Lazard is going to be the guy, or looks to be the guy that will be the wide receiver 1 in this offense. And you have to look at Devontae Adams' absence at this point, and you look at where he's finished in on this team in fantasy. Last year, he was a wide receiver 2. 2020, he was a wide receiver 1. 2018, wide receiver 3. And even in 2017, which is, I think, a year removed from his rookie season, he was the wide receiver 14. Over the last 3 seasons, Aaron Rodgers has ranked 13th, 8th, and 13th in passing attempts between 0 and 9 yards. And then over that same time span, Allen Lazard has been great in that same spot. He's ranked 7th, 1st, and 25th in yards per route in that same area of the field. This goes to show and speak about his red zone threat and his red zone ability. He had 8 touchdowns last year, which is great for a guy that only had 40 catches. And in weeks 14 to 17, he actually finished as the wide receiver 15. And right now he's going as the wide receiver 42, that's like wide receiver 4 area, like end of the 9th round, middle of the 9th round, which is crazy to me. So with 40% of the team's total targets now vacant with Devontae out of Green Bay, this could be a massive year for Allen Lazard, a guy I'm taking much earlier than where his current ADP is right now, because the players that are going in his spot, I don't think have as much upside. There's guys like Tyler Lockett are going before him, amongst a bunch of other guys. So I love Allen Lazard and where he's going right now, because he could easily finish as a wide receiver 2 this year within the top 24 of these receivers.
Yeah, like the Packers, a guy like him doesn't make you super, super excited because you don't believe in his talent. But at the end of the day, like we're not here to take the most talented player. We're looking to find the guy that can score and give you fantasy points. And the Packers offense is an offense, even with Devontae Adams out, has proven that they're going to be able to score with him, with or without him. And he could be the biggest benefactor of that. So it's a position too where Aaron Rodgers really values the veterans and goes to the veterans. It's not as easy to get to those rookies. So even if Romeo Doubs earns his opportunity to be on the field plenty, it's still probably Lazard as the number 1 option. Yeah,
and like obviously not 40% of the vacated targets are just going to go solely to Allen Lazard. Like that's not going to happen. But even if he gets half of that, that's huge. Like obviously, like guys like Aaron Jones, even Bob Tonyan this year are guys you should look at who are going to have huge years in the passing game for this offense. But Allen Lazard is just a name you can't miss on your draft boards come draft day.
Last one I'm going to, someone going pretty early and definitely moving up a lot of boards, and his ADP is definitely rising and changing. Michael Pittman, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts offense, if you're looking at it on the left and you're seeing Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce as the number 2 and 3 at the wide receiver position. Paris Campbell has just never been able to stay on the field since he left Ohio State. I mean, the guy's one of the least reliable players in all of fantasy football. If any of you I know Drew Boyer, many of you from this channel know, really loved Paris Campbell last year. And again, just same old, same old. So, and then Alec Pierce, as a rookie, has been practicing with the ones all preseason, all training camp. To me, Alec Pierce, I was disappointed when the Colts took him over some of the other guys available, because I think Alec Pierce is literally Michael Pittman light. So they're very similar in terms of profile, size, catch radius, and whatnot. But Michael Pittman finishes the wide receiver 17 last year, 129 targets, which was 14th at the position. And like I mentioned, the target competition is lacking. His 25.7% target share ranked 14th. But I think what happens this year is he could reach that elite tier in terms of target share, because that target share, like I said, 14th. If he gets up, which I think he will, to 27% plus, we're talking about like top 5 at the position in terms of target share. The other thing that's missing is the touchdowns. He scored 6 last year. The Colts were so conservative in the red zone because they were absolutely terrified of how badly Carson Wentz could hurt this team if he was throwing the ball inside the 20-yard line. So they just ran it like hell. Jonathan Taylor, 85 red zone rushing attempts, was 40 more than the next guy, which was Austin Eckler. They just ran the ball to, honestly, their detriment. They were 19th in the NFL in red zone touchdown rate. They bring in Matt Ryan. They're going to feel more comfortable throwing the ball in the red zone. I think they certainly throw the ball more in the red zone, and that's going to give Pittman the chance to score more often inside the 20, which is what you need. We've got the target share. We've got the volume. We're just missing touchdowns. Michael Pittman puts that together, and we're talking about a top 8, top 5 type of season for this guy. I mean, I look at Carson Wentz last year. The catchable target rate for Pittman was 76%, which was 44th at the position. There's a reason they targeted and tried to find a new quarterback and left Carson Wentz as quickly as possible. And Matt Ryan, I think, will be able to help them a lot in that category.
Yeah. Two questions for you, okay? First question. Is T.Y. Hilton still breathing? Does he still have the ability to play football? Where is he?
I mean, he hasn't really had the ability to play football for a couple of years, I would say, but I don't think he has a contract. He played for a few too many years. There's always those players that stretch out the career a little too late, then they leave you on a sour note. Like T.Y. Hilton was an awesome player in his prime.
As soon as Andrew Luck left, though, he was done.
Injuries,
much, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
And then, the second question, do you think they'll stick to like a run heavier offense like they did last year? I know like their offensive line isn't as good as last year. Also, Matt Ryan, like you alluded to, a much better red zone quarterback. Like he gave some guys, looking back to last year, beneficiary of that was Russell Gage in certain weeks. Like he had really good red zone numbers. So do you think they're going to take that kind of skill set from Matt Ryan and implement it into their Colts offense?
I think they'll run the ball. I think they'll run the ball at a similar rate because honestly, Jonathan Taylor had a great year, like in terms of breaking big plays, the whole 9 yards. But this was the biggest problem, especially early in the year. Those games they lost early in the year was because their red zone offense was so bad. Yeah. So I think I just don't see any way that Jonathan Taylor repeats 85 red zone rushing attempts. That was just ludicrous. So if we cut off if we take that 85 and break 20 off it, he would still lead the position at 65 and the next guy at 45. Yeah. And that's 20 more pass attempts that could come Pittman's way to score. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. We have him ranked the same. I have him as my wide receiver 10. I'm taking him before guys like A.J. Brown, even T. Higgins. I think Pittman could have a really big year this year in this offense.
Yeah, so. I have him ahead of Keenan. Even Cortland Sutton, I have him one in front of. I just think there's a lot of certainty with this guy, and then there's that one piece we're missing that I think he'll give us this year.
Yeah.
Anyways, for must-draft wide receivers, we'll have some players not to draft later this week as well, so a little teaser for you there. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like, let us know, subscribe to the channel as well. Let us know what you think of Lightning lineups. Let's hear about some entries. Let's see what you're thinking for week 1. We'll have more previews for week 1 coming at the beginning of next week, and we will announce the winner of the giveaway we'll go with Sunday's video. Sunday's video will be the winner announced the giveaway, so make sure you enter. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.